It's Wednesday morning. We're midway through the week now. We have some great stories for you to enjoy today. Here's what's ahead.
Today we'll hear from Ron Wilson about life in rural Kansas. Learn about the Huck Boyd National Institute in Phillipsburg, Kansas, who Huck Boyd was and how he dedicated his life to community leadership in a rural setting. Then Brian Holman visits with a farmer from Johnson County who tells us how he got started in farming and how his small acreage has become a model for others wanting to make a small farm viable.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Rural Lifestyle, brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick. In Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
The Huck Boyd National Institute for Rural Development is really a partnership between Kansas State University and the Huck Boyd Foundation of Phillipsburg, Kansas. Huck was a Western Kansas newspaper publisher. It's a great story. After studying at K-State, he returned to his family newspaper business in Northwest Kansas and worked there the rest of his life. He got involved in the civic affairs of his community and kind of worked his way up through the ranks, got involved at the city and then the county and the state and national level. Ultimately he was Republican National Committee man from Kansas for some 20 years, so he was nationally influential while publishing a weekly newspaper in a small rural Northwest Kansas community. Really a great example of community leadership and service in a rural setting. And today the Huck Boyd Institute strives to honor his legacy of service to rural America. Huck Boyd was a great promoter of rural Kansas. He was a great believer in Kansas values and promoted it to the nation. He worked on issues very much ahead of his time in terms of bioenergy and extending health care and scholarships for doctors and others who'd serve in rural communities. He was probably best known for his work with the Kyle Railroad. The Rock Island Railroad was taking bankruptcy during this time and proposed to abandon 400 miles of railroad track across Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado. And Huck set out on a mission to save rail service for Northwest Kansas, including his hometown. And I remember I was on Senator Kassebaum's staff in Washington, D.C. back in those days, and this distinguished gentleman came in pushing rail service, and all the experts said it couldn't be done. But Huck would not take no for an answer, went back, and to make a long story short, he actually worked with the governor, the Democratic governor, on a bipartisan basis to get a constitutional amendment passed by the voters of Kansas so that they could establish the Mid-States Port Authority. Today, the Kyle Railroad is operating on what would have been abandoned track. So he was successful in his mission, a man who took on all the odds to work for his community. In terms of needs of rural Kansas, we see leadership development as a crucial need. The circumstances are different, whether you're in eastern Kansas, western Kansas, close to a urban center or more remote, but the common need is leadership. The key is how citizens in those communities respond to those circumstances. And so the Huck Boyd Institute makes leadership development a top priority. We're involved with community development academies, Kansas Leadership Forum, and other ways of encouraging that grassroots leadership. And it's all based on a mission of self-help. We're convinced that no one from Washington, D.C. is going to come in, ride in on a white horse, and magically save rural Kansas. It's going to have to be rural citizens themselves. It's going to have to be us that does it. So we work with leadership development and building capacity. We do outreach to those rural communities to try to communicate strategies for them that they might employ. We do first impressions, which is an outside assessment of those communities, largely a visual assessment from teams of anonymous visitors that come into the community. And then we do Kansas Profile, which is a weekly radio spot and news column which features and highlights outstanding entrepreneurs and community leaders in rural Kansas.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Roy Fry Western Lifestyles brings the cowboy or cowgirl out in all of us. With a huge selection of must-have items, it doesn't matter if you're shopping for your horse, picking up some Western accessories to add that rustic charm to your home, or simply treating yourself. The knowledge and expertise to dress you your Western best is right here at Roy Fry Western Lifestyles, Highway 24 and Kansas Avenue in Topeka.
Now another gardening tip with Annette Jackson.
Early spring is the best time to plant many of the cool season garden vegetables for your dinner table, finishing in just 4 to 12 weeks. Plant homegrown cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, lettuce, and onion plants in your garden or container. Homegrown, hardy, and healthy plants are now available at Jackson's.
Use Fertilome Gardener Special Fertilizer for your garden, or Fertilome Blooming and Rooting Water Soluble for your containers for best production.
Rural Lifestyle, brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick. In Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
Rural Kansas faces an awful lot of challenges in terms of out-migration, brain drain, our young people who get an education and move away, but we also have a great deal of assets. The high quality of life of rural Kansas being a great place to raise families and nurture children and find rewarding careers and opportunities in a community where you know your neighbors and you're not just a number and lost in the crowd. These are assets we have in rural Kansas. We need to build on that. One key is technology. The internet makes it possible. The internet is the internet. The internet is the interstate highway and the railroad of yesteryear. It makes it possible to live in a rural setting and communicate with customers worldwide. So we need to pursue that opportunity and build on our other assets, value-added agriculture and agritourism. These are important opportunities for rural Kansas. I do believe that we need to, as a state, work toward high-wage, high-quality jobs. And maybe that means we need a multifaceted strategy. We need to build on the assets we have, such as in agribusiness and the meat packing industry, but in cheese processing, we've expanded our dairies in western Kansas. Let's add value to those products. But we also need to pursue a high-wage, high-quality job strategy where we can. And this is where things like the bio-health, the whole bioscience industry can be really important. And that, again, is an asset that we can build on the expertise we have in our universities and protect our agricultural base. So food safety, food science, animal health, those are some opportunities where we can really use our knowledge and expertise to build on high-quality jobs. The Community Development Academy is a training opportunity which we invite people to participate in, and we've approached leadership development in other ways too, trying to help local community-based leadership programs. In fact, we had a study done. We provided many grants for leadership development programs, and one of the evaluation factors was how much additional hours of volunteer service did participants in those programs provide to their communities. And when you calculate the value of that service over time, it's something like a $1.6 million benefit to Kansas that it's been accrued through those local volunteers helping their communities. And so then in Kansas Profile, we also highlight those leaders, and I found this really interesting. I was at a meeting at State Fair a few years ago, and they making introductions, and they recognized the president of the National Association of Wheat Growers, who this year is from Kansas. And then they introduced the president of the National Corn Growers Association, who this year is from Kansas. I thought that was pretty cool, so I set out to do a couple of our Kansas Profile series about these national ag leaders from Kansas. When it was all said and done, I could document 14 Kansans who had been president or chief executive officer, chairman of the board of national farm organizations and related agribusiness organizations from Kansas. So Kansas can be very proud of the leadership that comes from our rural state.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here, now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
I'm Dennis Tebow. My wife and I, Kathy, are the owners of Wolf Creek Cattle Company. We have grown to approximately 70 bulls.
I'm Reese Arnold. I'm the livestock manager at Wolf Creek Cattle Company. You know, these are not just like normal cattle. These cattle, they're hauled anywhere from, 8 to 10 hours a day across the United States and asked to perform. The Multi-Man 90 keeps them kind of level. It maintains and balances their system. The stress level is less when, when everything's right and working right, then they're working right.
Get ready for the Kicker Country Stampede presented by Verizon Wireless, starring Jason Aldean, Trace Atkins. 4 days of camping and country music at Country Stampede, Little Big Town. The Pistol Annies featuring Ashley Monroe, Miranda Lambert, and Angelina Presley. Country Stampede. Take advantage of our current pricing. Use Easy Pay to split up your payments. Save money through April 30th with early bird pricing. More info at countrystampede.com.
Rural Lifestyle, brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick. In Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road.
One of the key dynamics about rural Kansas is the scale that you're dealing with. A person who goes into the city and spends money or moves in is a tiny, tiny piece of the total. But in a rural community, one visitor who comes to that community spends money, that's dollars that are added to the community, and that multiplies. And it's true of jobs. As an economic development strategy, we encourage communities to think about how they can build on the base that they have. It's not likely for rural community X out at the crossroads to bring in an employer, a factory with 500 jobs. It's just not likely to happen, and we're not equipped to deal with it. We don't have the workforce, don't have the housing, may not have the infrastructure for that to happen. But if we can build 1 or 2 jobs, if we can expand those entrepreneurial homegrown businesses 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs at a time, that really makes it a positive impact on the community. I think we're all looking for that 100% solution. We want to find that big employer who's going to provide 100% of our benefits to our community. But I think what we need are 52% solutions. We need to identify those entrepreneurs, those homegrown businesses that we can support and expand to build our communities at the grassroots level. First Impressions program actually originated in the state of Wisconsin and came to Kansas in the 1990s through the Extension Service. It's a community betterment program where we organize teams of visitors to come into that community unannounced over a period of weeks and months and evaluate that community. So they come into the community and act as visitors do. They interact with the community, they stop at the convenience store, they buy gas, they window shop, they ask for directions, they eat a meal in the community. But then they fill out a questionnaire that evaluates that community in various dimensions. A lot of it is kind of a windshield survey. How do they, what's the cleanliness of the community? What's the feel of the community? How's the signage? Were things easy to find? Were people friendly? Were people helpful? And then those teams fill out this questionnaire, and then we compile that questionnaire into a single final report, which we present to the community at a public meeting along with slide photos. And a coworker of mine said, sometimes the pictures tell the story. And it makes people in the community themselves stop and think how the community appears to outside visitors. And sometimes it causes us to realize that wonderful sculpture on Main Street that we drive by every day, we take for granted. Or that eyesore on Main Street, the closed, boarded up building that looks awful to visitors, we drive by it all the time, we don't even pay attention to it anymore. But for the visitor who comes into that community, it makes an impact, it makes an impression, either positive or negative. When we present the results of this to the community, if the community is prepared to step up and say, we want to make things better, we want to improve how we appear to others, and it might lead to a downtown cleanup, it might lead to a painting campaign, it might lead to some, more mowing and care of the housing stock in the community. That can really make a positive difference, not only for visitors, but it enhances the quality of life for the community itself, the current residents, and hopefully positions the community both to attract new residents as well as improve the quality of life of the people already living there.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
In the last 3 years, we've changed some things in our AI protocol, one of which was the use of multi-min. We've seen a significant increase in our AI pregnancy rate. The cost of an embryo program is significant, and we feel that if we were able to even get one more pregnancy out of a cow, that would pay for the whole cost of the whole bottle of multi-min right there.
Tar Waters has what you need for all seasons for around the farm and home. Working, hunting, growing, feeding, snow removal, even fun for the kids. And a service department with experienced techs to help keep your equipment in top running condition. Tar Waters has a huge selection and the best prices. Tar Water Farm and Home, family owned and operated since 1978. They have what you need.
Golf Week calls it the best course you can play in Kansas. But once you play, you'll want to stay. Go for it. Firekeeper Golf Course at Prairie Band Casino and Resort is just north of Topeka off Highway 75. Our stay and play package is worth the trip. Luxury hotel room, green fees, and golf cart for two, starting at just $169.
Prairie Band Casino and Resort. Go for it!
Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas, or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel, or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road.
Agribusiness brought to you by SureCrop, quality liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here and glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us out. You really have a nice place out here.
Thank you very much.
Not too far from the city, but just far enough that it's nice and quiet.
It's our little piece of heaven out here in the country.
Now, how'd you all get started?
Well, I grew up in town. My dad was a doctor, and I got my first cow when I was 7 years old, 50-some years ago. And when my wife and I got married 29 years ago, we decided we wanted a farm and looked for about a year and found this place, and this was where we got started and still here. So we always wanted to live in the country, and we wanted to set it up the way we would like, and so we have our berries and bees and cattle and hogs and gardens, flower gardens, vegetable gardens, and that's how we got started.
Mike, the one thing you guys do out here is you give people the opportunity to come out and see how a small farm runs. It's kind of a working classroom. Tell us about that.
Yes, I work extensively with the K-State Research and Extension in Johnson County, and through them I'm setting up this farm as kind of a model for people. Johnson County agriculture has changed so much in the last 25-30 years that there are a lot of small acreages. So I'm showing people using this farm as a model that how they can make a small farm more viable. They come out here and we can show them how that we raise berries and cattle and hogs. We're diversified. We can show them rather than tell them how to do it. So it is kind of like a working classroom. We have groups that come in, individuals that come in wanting just solve a few problems or just want to see the whole operation. It's fun for me. This is what I've always wanted to do for my entire life, and I've got everything set up pretty much the way I want it. People can come in and take a segment out of this and take it home to their place, or you know,
adopt everything.
Adopt everything, and we have a wide range of things that goes on here, from our nut groves to orchard, berries, and I have a yearly calendar that tells me what I need to be doing, when I need to be doing it, and it makes things much easier, much more efficient, and you can avoid a lot of problems by following that.
Mike, what's your favorite part of the operation? I mean, what do you get the most enjoyment out of doing?
I think it's raising about 80% of what we eat. It's we raise our own beef and I sell beef. We raise our own hogs and I sell hogs. We raise our vegetables fresh and then we can a lot. I have bees and we keep the honey. Have a lot of flowers, brings a lot of enjoyment to us. But I guess just the fulfillment of being kind of self-sustaining is probably the biggest thing. Kind of on an equal par with just being able to help other people do the same thing if they're interested.
Mike, give us your spring and summer schedule.
Okay, we start our vegetables from seed in the basement in early February. Our calves are born in February and March, and the garden proceeds, and we go to a number of farmers markets, and we try to push people to buy local so they can be fresh and local and safe with their food supply. And we go to the farmers markets several times a week and take our cash crops, which are our sweet corn and tomatoes, to do that.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Thanks for joining us today. Look for us every weekday morning at this same time. Now, to see these stories again, go to agaminkansas.com 24/7. Eric Atkinson here from K-State Research and Extension.